like ages, isn't it? Really? Hello there. Assalamu alaikum from Iman 1. Today's radio show hosted by Zahid Shah and Zahid Ali. As we call it, Z squared. And today we've got a show full of some interesting things. We're going to talk Premier Division football because we both love Premier Division football. We're going to talk about potholes, which is completely opposite to Premier Division football. Zaid, anything else?
Well, we do have a way for our listeners to communicate with us via WhatsApp. The number is 07440420432. So if people do want to ask us questions, you can ask the two Zahids for any life issues that you're going through. We'll try to act as agony uncles.
Well, the thing is Zaid is right, because we've got an average age of about 50 plus, right? I'm a grandfather and Zaid's a father, right? And there's a lot of experience. We both got experiences of work as well. Zaid has worked in some very senior positions within the stock market. I myself have worked in pharmaceutical sales. I'm also a qualified teacher. So we both got loads and loads of strings to the bow. So listen, guys, we're quite happy to answer questions. Just give us a text or even call in, and we're more than happy to listen. Zahid, do you want to kick off? Premier Division.
So, yeah, I think we're going to talk about Mohamed Salah. I mean, he's been a figure of some sort of notoriety, infamy in recent years. Some of you may remember that he put a picture of himself and his family next to a Christmas tree at Christmas time, and that caused a lot of controversy and mixed debate, because people were saying, this is a Muslim sporting star who is celebrating, or seems to be celebrating, Christmas. And that caused controversy. There were some people within the Muslim community who weren't too happy with him. There were some people within the Muslim community who said, well, it's a gesture towards our host community, showing that we are a tolerant, friendly people. We accept other people's religious observance. We're not intolerant people. And so some actually welcomed it, although it did trigger some people within other communities. And so he's been in the news a lot recently. And now there seems to be a bit of a hoo-ha over his, performances on the pitch, and the way he's being treated by the Liverpool management in the form of Arne Slot. Now, I'm not a Liverpool supporter myself, I'm just an observer.
I am.
You are. So give us your Liverpool fan scouser view.
I can't do Liverpool.
Calm down.
Calm down. Yeah, look, first of all, the Christmas thing, yeah, right? He's a young man. And as young men, we all make mistakes, right? And he put a Christmas tree up. I don't know what the big deal was, but everybody wanted to jump on it, yeah? And he was probably not Liverpool fans. It might have been Manchester United, Man City fans, Muslims, who thought, okay, chance here to have a go at one of the best players in the league. And then you've got Arne Slot, who comes in and inherits a very good team with good principles and good concepts from the previous manager. Right, Jurgen
and he took them to be fair to Arne Slot, he took them to a new level. Mohamed Salah had one of his best seasons ever under Arne Slot.
Yeah, he did. And I'm fairly sure that Jota was part of that setup.
Yeah, Diogo Jota, a key figure, yeah.
A very key figure and a very well-liked figure within the changing room. And I'm not a psychiatrist, and I'm not claiming to be a psychiatrist, but what I will say is that, there's hi to everybody joining on TikTok. But what I will say is that I think that's affected a lot of the team members, because Jota was apparently a very likeable character. But more importantly, I think it's affected Salah, because look, if anybody's gone through depression, they'll know what I'm talking about. I suffered from mental health and depression for about 2 or 3 years, and I'll tell you something, it really is bad.
Mm.
And eventually, I had to talk to somebody, um, a psychiatrist, who was a friend of mine. I didn't even go to my GP because I felt that it was very, very low to go. And I think Salah might be going through some mental health issues, being the professional footballers that they are, and because they get paid so much money, I think he'll probably be talking to some psychological stuff going on there. Maybe I don't know if he's on medicine. I'm just trying to say, but if he is going through mental health, right, there's going to be consequences which are going to affect him on the field, because we don't know. 90 minutes is it's not a long time when you're playing, when we're watching, because it goes quickly. But when you're on the pitch and you've got all these other thoughts going on in your head, it can be, I don't know, because I went through mental health, and I'll tell you, it really affected me all day and every day for about 2 or 3 years.
I don't know. Also, in terms of how with the modern social media and all this sort of paraphernalia around a game, I mean, can you imagine if you go to work, you have a bad day at the office, it became a massive thing on social media where everyone's having their two penn'orth saying, we're pro Zahid, or we're pro Zahid's boss, or whatever. It seems extreme, but that is what these young men, these football players, have to go through. They go and do their job on the pitch.
Yeah.
They are at the top of their profession, and then they get criticism for pretty much anything and everything they do. In social media, we've even had last week, when Wolverhampton Wanderers played Crystal Palace,
Yeah.
Tolu Arokodare, our striker, missed a penalty, and he received horrendous racial abuse on social media. The Wolverhampton Wanderers official social media accounts had to actually come out in support of Tolu publicly. Tolu was aghast that he had received this just because he'd missed a penalty kick. Just absolutely inexcusable. And I think that is being actually investigated by the police. We've had more high-profile racism incidents recently where Vinny Jr. for Real Madrid, he scored a goal against Benfica in the Champions League. He just celebrated a goal, and he received, allegedly, racist abuse from one of the Benfica players. The world-famous manager of Benfica, Jose Mourinho, weighed in. He actually criticised Vinny Jr. for having done a celebration which provoked the alleged racist attack from a player of the Benfica team. And so there's been a whole furore over that issue. And it was actually quite nice to see that, I think it was last night, that Real Madrid actually beat Benfica in the second leg of that Champions League playoff. And Vinny Jr. actually scored the winning goal. So, there's a lot of stuff about racism and social media going around at the moment. And I think we have to be more appreciative that these people playing the game, they're young men, they have mental health issues just as anyone else.
Of course they do. I mean, they're human beings. I mean, remember one thing is, just because you're a professional footballer doesn't mean to say that you've got a body that came from another world and that you landed here. They're like us. They're human beings. They've just got a little bit of a talent for something, and they've developed that talent into something a bit more severe and become professional footballers. But this piece of sugar in between our ears, when it gets affected, it can get affected. Now, the Wolves player who's missed that penalty,
Tolu Arokodare.
Is he going to want to take another penalty?
Well, to be honest, his record in recent times is quite poor. Apparently, he's missed 5 of the recent penalties he's taken. His overall record is only scoring 5 out of 10 of his recent penalties.
Is that good or bad?
That's a very poor record. That's basically like flipping a coin. It's
so his probability is 50%.
Yeah, his strike rate for penalties is 50%. There's Wolves players like Adam Armstrong, who has a scoring rate of, I think, about 83%. And
I told you they need to. Wolves have to employ you.
and we have another player called Ladislav Krejci who actually has a penalty scoring rate of 90%. He's a defender, but he has a scoring rate of 90% from penalties. It's rather worrying that Wolves actually didn't have a designated penalty taker for the match against Crystal Palace, and that
Would they won that game if he'd scored?
I think so, because the score at the time that we were awarded a penalty was 0-0. Wolves were pretty much in the ascendancy. Matthias Mane, our young up-and-coming England under-18, possibly England future star, he actually won us the penalty, and Tolu stepped up. He took responsibility on his shoulders. I noted one of the local sports journalists said that they weren't very confident in Tolu sticking the ball in the net, because just from his body language, it seemed as though he was looking as though he was taking deep breaths, sighing, just not looking very confident.
Yeah, but wait there. Credit to the kid, because nobody else wanted to take the penalty, did they?
Yeah, no one else stepped up.
Nobody stepped up. So I've noticed something, Zahid, in this country with the Premier Division, or because I don't know the other divisions because I don't really watch, but when a BME player misses a penalty or misses a goal, they really get a lot of racial abuse.
Well, we had a whole furore. I think it was after the Euro 24 final, where some of the English black players actually missed penalties in the penalty shootout in the final. They were being blamed by racists, and there were a lot of race abuse on social media going on aimed at those players. So, yeah, we've had that at quite high profile level in this country. We try to paint ourselves as paragons of virtue, but we do have a racism problem in this country. I mean, heroic soccer heroes from the past, such as John Barnes, he used to have bananas thrown at him when he was playing.
And I know that because I'm a Liverpool fan, and I remember going to games and people bringing in bananas.
I remember a game at Wolverhampton Wanderers back in the 1990s. I was on the terraces of the South Bank, and we were playing, I think, Newcastle United. And Newcastle United at that time had a striker called Andy Cole. Andy Cole.
Oh, yeah, the one who went to Man United.
He went on to play for Man United. There used to be a terrace ditty about Andy Cole. Andy Cole, Andy Cole. Andy Cole, he gets the ball, scores a goal. Andy Cole. Anyway, I had someone behind.
Are you trying to get a singing career out of this?
Well, if there's anyone listening, Simon Cowell, yeah, get in touch. But anyway,
apparently, Simon Cowell's just come on my TikTok. He goes, "Who's that amazing singer?"
Anyway, to get back to my story on the very serious matter of racism,
yeah.
Andy Cole was playing against Wolves for Newcastle United, and some idiot from behind me started shouting, "Trigger, trigger, trigger, shoot the..." You can guess.
Blah, blah, blah.
You can guess what the word that rhymes with trigger is. Yeah. I mean, it was, I think, to the credit of the other Wolves fans who were around me, they were tutting. This was in the late 1980s, early 1990s. So, there was a big hooligan problem at that time, and nobody really joined in on that racism. Wolverhampton Wanderers at that time had black players playing for us, so it made no sense for our supporters to actually target people of,
Well, listen. I mean, look. Let's say that in the Premier Division, you still got BME players playing. I'd like to see a few more South Asians, right? But there's a lot more from black minority, black ethnic groups here. They're playing. But let's look at another sport that I love, cricket, right? There's 22 counties in this country, and there's 80. I would say that about 8 to 10% of the country population is South Asian. There's 15% BME total, probably about 8-10%. Which is, and I'm going to leave this stat for you to find out for me for next week, not now, but 8 to 10%. And that 8 to 10% of the ECB who realizes after the Azim Rafiq saga, if you remember, that there's racism in cricket in this country, formed a setup called SACA, which is the South Asian Cricket Association and Academy, right, run by an English chap called Tom Brown, right. Now, when I spoke to this guy, I said, well, this sounds, this is a bit racist, isn't it, having SACA? He goes, yeah, but it's allowing South Asians to get into the game. So that's a massive problem. Now, there's players that I know who are good enough to be playing at that level, but they can't get in because they're not part of the elitism, the setup, and the elitism in this country.
The faces don't fit.
The faces don't fit. Thank you very much. I like the way you said that. So there's a big issue within this country. Full stop. Now, we've got to be careful how we talk about certain things, but there's a specific political party who are coming up at the moment, who probably are going to get an amazing amount of seats in the next local elections. I'm not going to mention names because I don't want the people who sponsor the radio show having a go at me, but there's a huge racist tendency behind that party. Would you agree with that?
Well, what's disappointing is that there are...
Can I just say hello to my wife? Okay.
There are people of our own ethnicity who are actually part of this party that you mentioned. So it's very disappointing that, they're almost, you could say, selling out their heritage.
Did you see my WhatsApp status?
I have not seen your WhatsApp status.
The one with Ayub Khan at the back.
No.
You got to watch it. We're watching the break.
Oh, okay.
When we got the break?
In the next 7 minutes.
So in the next 7 minutes, I'm going to show you this. It's hilarious. We can talk about that. Carry on. Sorry.
It's not the one about the bin dispute where he was...
yeah, you did
Okay,
see it.
so Ayub Khan in Parliament, he actually sits on the benches just behind a certain Nigel Farage, and he made a quip during a parliamentary session. He said, there is a stink growing under a smell under my nose.
Something like that, yeah. It was absolutely hilarious, and even Farage laughed, and then one of his guys turned around and said something to Ayub Khan, but it was all in sort
jest,
of in jest, yeah, sort of thing. Yeah, sorry, Zahid.
Yeah, so Ayub Khan has been doing a very good job on a lot of different issues, representing the bin workers and the Birmingham residents, because obviously there's been a bin strike going on, bin collections haven't been made, there's been rubbish piling up on the streets of Birmingham, especially in, unfortunately, areas with large sort of Muslim and BAME communities. And
is that something that Birmingham City Council are doing strategically? Are they doing this on purpose? Because if you drive down to Sutton Coldfield, Solihull, you don't see any bin issues there.
It's an interesting observation. Some people have observed that some of the leafier suburbs of Birmingham seem to be getting their bins collected, whilst it's the inner city areas which are populated more by black and minority ethnic people where the collections haven't been occurring. But I wouldn't like to comment on that because I don't know.
Is somebody trying to send a message to us?
I don't think the Birmingham councillors who ultimately would make the decisions, or actually the Birmingham commissioners who would make the decisions, because Birmingham was put into special measures in effect, the Birmingham Council, because of their bankruptcy. I don't think they would make a politically motivated or racially motivated action. I don't think that would be something that they could get away with in a city like Birmingham, which is a sort of multi-ethnic diversity.
Well, it's the largest council in Europe, isn't it? We know that.
It's got a very large budget, caters to over 1 million people, so it is one of the largest councils in Europe.
Yeah, it is quite concerning. But as I said to you, our viewers, as I said to the viewers earlier on, me and Zahid will go from one topic to another, and what we're going to do is we'll finish off what we were talking about, but we're going to have a break in a few minutes, and after the break, please phone in, because The number is 07440 420 432 or 01902 972 150 if you are upset with these potholes. If people must be upset, please pick up the phone, WhatsApp us. We've got our we've got our resident deck controller who will read off the WhatsApp messages, and if you ring in, we can have a chat there. Zahid, do we need to finish off on what we were talking about earlier on?
Well, you were talking about the cricket.
Yeah.
How do you think that could be resolved? The issues that you've mentioned about lack of representation of South Asian communities within the game at the highest level.
Okay, that's a great question, and I remember speaking to a academy director at Worcester called Elliot Wilson, and we spoke about this issue with the BME community, and he said we've got our BME quota. It's 0.3%. So he already had that on the top of his head because he knew if somebody like me, Mr. Trying to be clever, asked him that question, he can say, look, we've got our quota on 0.3%. But I think that's shocking. For he should not have said that to me. What he should have said is, if they're South Asian cricketers who are playing in the Worcester setup and they're good enough, they should get in. Warwickshire has got the largest amount of South Asians playing cricket in a area. Warwickshire, it's massive. It's probably 80% of the cricketers who play in Warwickshire are South Asian.
I think extraordinary because Warwickshire basically is Birmingham and surrounding area.
Absolutely.
Towards Coventry, isn't it?
How many South Asians or BME players do you think play for Warwickshire? How many do you think?
Out of the playing squad of
20,
20, I'd say.
Okay, so one or two. Two. Oh, somebody's called in. Hello?
Hello there, you're right. I was just listening to the radio and I just heard that you're speaking about potholes.
Do you know what, brother? First of all, this is Zahid Shah and Zahid Ali's on the other side. Who are you? Would you like to give us your name?
My name's Yusuf, I'm local to Wolverhampton.
Okay, Yusuf. Yusuf, go for it. What do you want to say?
I understand, look, there's always going to be issues of maintenance, etc. on the roads, but surely, there's going to be some sort of prioritising of areas where there's these things are recurring. Without having too much of a moan, and I'm trying to be reasonable here, you do see some roads, you think, well, hold on, that road seems to be okay. And then you see roads nearby which could have been, tarmac or had some work done to it. And it just seems like it's not done in a very sensible approach. And from Brentford, how best can we get this addressed? What can we do on our level? Because I think we've got to support the council or maybe remind them as well, without having a dig at them all the time.
Yusuf, do you know what? I think we've got 30 seconds left. I mean, do you mind calling back? How long we got for break? Can you call back after 7 minutes and then we can carry this conversation on, because it'd be nice to get your views as well.
Okay, thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you, Yusuf. Thank you very much, guys. We've got about 10 seconds, so we'll see you back in about 6-7 minutes. Please call us about these potholes. We've already had a caller. Thank you very much.
Wow. We had a
That's so quick, didn't
real live caller.
We got a live caller.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
So, who are you meant to contact if you do see a pothole in your neighbourhood?
The leader, the cabinet member for roads is Faisal Azim.
The-
Azim. And he's
Qasser.
Qasser.
Qasser Azim. Okay.
Yeah, he's the councillor in St. Peter's.
So, are you going to publicly out him or?
Well, I mean, I've asked him. I said, "What are you doing?" And he's sort of kind of, he's a nice enough person, but he seems to.
There used to be a Report It app. Does that still work?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much you report these potholes. Nobody's doing nothing about it.
Seriously.
It's just shocking. I mean,
We had one outside our house, didn't we? And we reported it. It got dealt with eventually.
I reckon that was because of the power of Alvina, probably.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
because they
Alvina.
thought if we
Alvina,
don't sort
you
this
got that
out,
done.
we're
You
all
got
in
it done.
trouble.
All I said was to them to report it through that reporting tab, and it got actioned within
There we go.
Okay,
5 to 14 days.
so Alvina has just mentioned a very valuable point. So when Yusuf comes back on, what we'll do is we'll actually
Let's publicise that.
let's publicise this up.
If it's still working, let's have a
I
look.
mean, it's a difficult one, but do you know what? I think people are getting fed up with these potholes because they're damaging cars. They really are. They really are. I mean, the bearing in my front passenger side wheel.
Right.
Front. I went into a pothole, bang, and that was it.
Really?
It snapped. That's it. So it cost me something like 200 quid.
No way.
Yeah, that was with labour. And the only
ridiculous.
reason why it cost me 200 quid was because I got the part second hand. I mean, there's no chance I would have been able to afford it. But the shocking thing is these are the kind of issues that we need to be talking about, Zahid. Zahid, can you do me a massive favour while you're on the computer? Can you find out the cost of the Ukraine war and, to Britain? How much has the UK
Yeah.
put into the Ukraine war? Because maybe if that money would go towards potholes,
Okay, let's.
we could talk about that, couldn't we? What do you think, Alvina? Yeah. Because I'm just intrigued, because I'm looking at it from a strategic point of view, thinking, how can we get our potholes and our roads better?
Okay, 21.8 billion for Ukraine, 13 billion in military support,
Oh my God.
and 5 billion in non-military support, including bilateral assistance
So
and
how many
fiscal
billions
gap.
is that total?
21.8 billion has
Okay.
been committed. That is the overall figure committed.
Okay.
Let me see. How much does the UK? How much does
The UK potholes cost
UK spend
on roads?
on potholes annually? $137 million local authorities spend annually on filling potholes, with total road maintenance budgets reaching 25.8 million per authority, though a £16 billion repair backlog exists. Recent government funding for England includes a record 1.6 billion for repairs to fix roughly 7 million potholes.
Can you keep that on tab when
Yeah.
we go back live?
Yeah.
Can you throw those figures?
Yeah. We'll
Because-
educate the public.
Because, yeah, absolutely. And I think what it is what the interesting point here is that all those billions that we're chucking out into countries like Ukraine, if we kept that in the UK, right, isn't that why we did Brexit? Because we wanted to save money, right? Do you understand? So the situation is this, it'd be interesting. Somebody's trying to ring me, man. I don't know who this is, but can I take this call?
Yeah, you can. You got 1 minute. 1 minute and 46 seconds.
Hello?
Come on live.
Oh, Yusuf, how you doing? Yusuf, are you going to ring? Yeah. Okay, I'll let Alvin know that now. Thank you. Absolutely. None of you call in and just talk about that, right? Can you know when? No, that's okay. When he rings back in, Yusuf, can you put the volume up so that we can hear him? Because they couldn't hear it outside in real.
So it was on.
Is it? It's up high. It's Alvina. She's gonna put
You
it
got a minute left.
up. Yeah, Alvina. He wants to talk to you.
Yes, Yusuf.
Yusuf, mate.
All right.
You know he's nice. They're taking the road.
Right, okay. Okay, alright, I'm gonna go. I've got 30 seconds. Okay, I go back. There you go. Right, 30 seconds, guys.
Yeah, 30 seconds and we're back on again, guys, on Oman Radio. Let me know.
20 seconds.
20 seconds. Zahid, you do the introduction now.
Oh no.
You want me to do it?
You do it.
Thumbs up, then you come on live.
Yeah.
9 seconds.
to 9 seconds on radio is a long time, guys, out on TikTok world. Okay, guys, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Iman 1. And me, Zahid Shah, and Zahid Ali, my co-host on Z Squared. And just before we went off, we were talking about potholes. But let me just introduce our couple of numbers: 07 440 420 432, and then 01902 972 150. So please, if you don't like talking on live, just text us. So at least we've got something, something to talk about. So what's happened is just before we went off, we were talking about potholes, and Zahid, the amazing analyst who should be working for is it Edwards, the manager?
Rob Edwards.
Rob Edwards, best looking manager in the Premier Division by far. Yeah, But yeah, so Rob, listen, if you're listening, Zahid Ali is available. He could come in and do a wonderful analyst job for you because his analyst skills are amazing. But Zahid, go for it. What were you saying about the? I asked you how much is the Ukraine war costing us, and what's potholes costing us. What did you find?
So apparently, UK support to Ukraine. The UK has made a £21.8 billion commitment, of which £13 billion is in military support, including a 2.26 billion ERA loan contribution.
Billion, not million.
Billion. We're talking billion. So a billion is 1,000 million.
Okay, are you listening to these guys?
And a further 5.3 billion in non-military support, including bilateral assistance and fiscal guarantees, and 3.5 billion cover limit in export finance. And this is all taken from the government.uk website. So they've got a fact sheet which was updated on the 6th of February 2026. This is the most up-to-date information on what our contribution to the Ukraine war has been. Now, I'm sure a lot of us take the view that occupation is a crime. So Russia's occupation of Ukraine is illegal, and we do want to support the Ukrainians in their legitimate defense of their nation. But is that more important and deserving of significantly more funding than the issue of potholes in this country? Now, I've been doing some research on potholes.
What do potholes cost us?
Okay, so according to these figures, the amount that has been spent on potholes is only 1.6 billion. So I'm reading from a government press release from the government.uk website, which says councils will receive 1.6 billion in funding to repair roads and fill potholes. 7 million more potholes to be filled next year as public urge to report roads in need of repair. So this is a issue which the government are cognizant of, that there are potholes which need filling, and they are only spending £1 billion a year on this, which is very important to all of us. And let me just add that the cost of repairs to cars which are affected by potholes is, according to the AA, £579 million a year. So this is causing a real cost to motorists. I mean, obviously...
Can I put my £200 in there?
Well, you can put your £200 in there, but, I mean, obviously it's creating work for all of our brothers and sisters who work in the garages.
Absolutely. I mean, Jamros and Premier Tyres and his business, they must be doing really, really well,
Yeah, big up all our advertisers and sponsors.
Yeah. Big out to all our sponsors. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, 1 billion, that's all they needed to put into potholes, yeah? And we've got, so realistically, this country, it's costing us 1.5 billion. Including roadwork, including our issues with our cars. So that's half a bill, isn't it?
Well, you'd also have to take into account, because when you have something go wrong with your car due to it having hit a pothole, I mean, you've talked about the bearings in your wheels going. you had a £200 bill, but it wasn't just the money you had to pay for the labour and parts. You had to take time out of your working day
Absolutely.
to take your car into the garage, maybe wait around or leave it
Absolutely.
there,
Absolutely.
pay transport to and back, maybe get taxis or use
Absolutely.
public transport. So you're adding to costs of public transport usage. You're adding to your costs in terms of not being able to go to work and things like that. So it's actually probably a much bigger, wider economic impact to the economy as well.
Well, do you know what? That's a magnificent point, because the day it happened, I couldn't go to work. So that's like, let's say
That's your day written off.
let's say for me, about £200 a day.
Imagine if you're a delivery driver
Yeah,
or you
that's it.
you're a truck which is doing parts deliveries and things for industry. You could especially with just-in-time supply chains, you could affect a whole manufacturing operation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was just going to say, is there people out there on TikTok world? What are your thoughts on potholes? Just let us know so we can read out some of the things. But some amazing stats there from yourself, Zahid. And 21 billion is going towards Ukraine. We don't know what else is going out there to other countries. This is just one country that we know about. Why can't they keep that 21 billion within the UK and put that into the NHS, into schooling, education, sorry, and upskill young people?
Yeah, I mean, some people do say they always seem to find money for warfare. They never seem to find money for welfare. And ultimately, the welfare of the people of this country is the responsibility of our politicians. So,
Absolutely.
where is the advocacy from our politicians? Which political parties are speaking out for us, the people? Now, I know you're aware of the person responsible at Wolverhampton Council for the potholes issue. And is there any way that we can report potholes in our local areas? Should we get in touch with our council, or is there a app or a website we can report these things to?
Alvina was mentioning that, weren't you, Alvina? What's this app that you were talking about?
The report it up.
The report, what?
Report it. There used to
The
be a report it app. You could
The report it app for Wolverhampton City Council.
You could report like people who'd done fly tipping and things like that, and
Yeah.
it was actually useful when it worked. I remember I used it a couple of times. I don't know whether it's been replaced. It's still in operation. Whether you can use it for reporting on things like potholes. But maybe we could get a response from some of our councillors. Maybe we can put in a request to, I think it's Councillor Kaisar Azim.
Councillor Azim is the cabinet member for roads and whatever you call it. Yeah.
Right.
Now I spoke to him. He's a nice enough guy, but you know St Peter's councillors, they don't do a lot, right? Unfortunately. Oh, sorry, that was a bit below the belt there. But
We will give a right to reply if any of them
yeah,
want to
if
ring in.
if the councillors are out there, you got the right to reply. But the thing is I did approach him and I said, listen, mate, your ward has got the biggest amount of potholes going. Please at least clear them up, because if you look at St Peter's ward, it seems to be one of the main wards where everybody's going in and out of the town. Have you noticed that?
If people aren't familiar with St Peter's Ward or not familiar with the geography of Wolverhampton, what areas would you say that applies to St Peter's Ward?
Waterloo Road, Stafford Road, and there's Craddock Street. You've got Newhampton Road. All these roads lead in and out of St Peter's and Wick Marines, but more importantly, they lead in and out of Wolverhampton as well. So if you go down St Newhampton Road, you can go towards Shropshire. If you go towards Stafford Road, you go towards Staffordshire.
Yeah.
Right, and you can hit the M54 and the M6 that way.
St Peter's Ward is basically the ward of Wolverhampton Wanderers and
It is.
Wick Marines.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
it's the best ward in the country
Yeah.
the country.
I've just been notified that there is a council-run website. It's called wolverhamptonreportit.com/reports. It's got a lot of statistics about reports of potholes, fly tipping, road damage, litter, etc. And it's got some like fancy pie charts. It's got how many reports have been filed over what period of time, like 7 days, month, etc. And how many of those have been actually actioned and dealt with. So that's interesting. If anyone wants to check out wolverhamptonreportit.com/reports, that looks like a very interesting website if anybody is particularly interested in the Wolverhampton pothole emergency.
Yeah, and Zahid, thank you, Alvina and Zahid, thank you very much for that information. And what I was just going to say also is I was a bit naughty about the St. Peter's Ward's councillors. Apologies out to those, but I would be quite happy for those councillors over the next couple of weeks to come on the show and tell us what they are actually doing in St. Peter's.
Give their side of the
Yeah,
story.
yeah, because it's a bit unfair that I've just had a cheap shot there, and I'll put my hands up. You know, it was a cheap shot. But come on,
But
come on, let's have a listen to what you got to say, guys.
Let's also admit that you are speaking from a position of experience, having been Wolverhampton's first Muslim councillor.
Thank you, Zahid.
So you've trodden these corridors of power. You understand some of the issues and problems you face when you're trying to work in interests of the public. I mean, I imagine that although Councillor Kaysar Azim is in charge of that particular portfolio, he probably has budget restrictions on him, maybe resource restrictions in terms of, he has to compete for budget with other councillors or other departments. So, it would be interesting to get his view on the intricacies of this, why these situations are not always being dealt with. I mean, there might be issues with regard to central government funding of local government. All of these issues do need to be made more transparent.
I will say one thing. When I was in council and the Labour Party were controlling the city, which they still are, I remember talking to the leader of the council, who was a very competent Roger Lawrence, and I said, "Oh, okay, it looks like somebody's calling. Hello."
I just called before the break. It's at the Z Squared show.
It's a Z Squared show, and is that Brother Yusuf? Brother Yusuf, we've got 5 minutes left, and thank you very much for coming on board to talk to us. But I was just let me just talk to us. You can have you can have your say. I just wanted to finish off what I was saying. Roger Lawrence told me at the time. He said, "Look, the leader of the country, it's the Conservative Party," and I think it must have been David Cameron at the time or something like that. And he said, "We don't get the funding from central government because we're a Labour Party run council. We do get funding, but not what we should get." But at this moment in time, who's the leader of the country? It's the Labour Party, isn't it? So it's a Labour run council. They should be getting a lot more funding to deal with local issues. What do you think, Zahid?
Absolutely. I mean, these are political choices. We've talked about how they always find money for war, but they never find money for welfare of our people in this country. I think it's a common complaint from a lot of different communities. Anyway, I'd love to hear from Brother Yusuf.
Brother Yusuf, go for it.
No, just to, reiterate, I think you hit the nail on the head, so to speak, is that we've got to report these things, and I think you've given the right information over to our listeners and myself, is that if more of us are involved and seeing these things, there's no point just complaining, something about getting me out there and doing something and reporting it. And that's the kind of message I was trying to understand that you've given it, and share that with the audience as well. Because if we don't collectively come in and identify these problems, then they don't get resolved, do they?
No, they don't.
Thank you very much for your call, Brother Yusuf. Yeah, I think we've done some quite constructive comments around this issue, and hopefully we will add to it over coming episodes of the show, and maybe even get one of our counsellor colleagues on at some stage as well.
Yeah, I've just had somebody on TikTok saying the same thing, saying, look, you did apologise, which is fair, and that it'd be nice to get somebody on, to talk about what's happening in the council.
They have a right to reply. This is a community
I think
station.
I think this person's saying somebody from the council. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Can we set that up?
We will try to. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
All we can do is put the invitation out there and see if they respond.
Yeah, definitely. And Zahid, we've got maybe about 3 minutes left. 2 minutes left. What we're going to discuss? Let's have a plan. What we're going to discuss? Obviously, we're going to discuss Premier Division. We always do. What else can we discuss?
We do like to talk about what is going on in the world around us. And what I always like to say, one of my favourite quotes is, small minds talk about people, mediocre minds talk about events, great minds talk about ideas. And we need to bring...
Who said that?
I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt, but I think Denzel Washington popularised it more recently.
He did.
And it's an interesting quote. I think it should bring us back to, we shouldn't really gossip about people and target people. We should think about the wider ideas and ideologies which impact people, such as these ideologies like racism or capitalism, and these actually impact our lives much more than getting into gossip about people. So that is something that we try to do, elevate conversations and try to get out of the tabloid type gutter and into serious thinking about how we solve issues in society.
And also, we will talk about Premier Division. We'll look at issues, the NHS and things. I also want to talk about Mr. Windsor, if we can. Andrew, what's his?
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about him and his brilliant interview. It was quite fascinating. And, hopefully, inshallah, if next Thursday people want to send us some messages regarding that or phone in to discuss that, we'd be more than happy. How long have we got?
40 seconds.
We've got 40 seconds. Just going back over what we discussed today, we talked about Mo Salah, getting criticisms and that we should get behind these guys. Also, the racism that's still luring out there. And we finished off with potholes. So, we do go for it. And we've got about 15-20 seconds left. So, everybody, goodbye from me, Zahid Shah, and over to Zahid Ali.
Goodbye from me, Zahid Ali.
Thank you very much for listening, and hopefully, inshallah, we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Inshallah.
Take care. Bye.